Welcome. This is Stasia Bliss. Today, empowerment and health. I'm joined by the track Ancient Art of Soul Travel by a dear soul brother, Michael Mandrell. You can find this on michaelmandrell.com. Just take a moment and breathe in with me. The soothing, soul massaging rhythm. As you take a moment to just notice your body. Notice your state of being, of your physical vessel. And take a chance here just to take a little inventory. Notice if there's anything that seems a little off, sore, tight, out of whack. Bring all those things to the forefront of your mind and experience now. Today's journey is that of empowerment and health, empowerment in the body. And in order to become empowered in the health of the body, first we must take ownership of it again. Come back into the awareness that this is our vehicle, this is my vehicle, my vessel, this is your vessel. No one else can make decisions and choices for you. Sure, others will have opinions, others will have advice. Maybe they've even studied all their lives and know much in the way of health and the body. Perhaps that is their profession. And perhaps you trust them very much. But today, and right now, in this moment, I want you to forget all that. Forget all those other voices. Just come back into a remembrance of yourself as a sovereign vessel. And imagine yourself to be the only one. Everyone else just kind of disappear. Let this voice of mine even become the voice in your mind reminding you, hey, it's me, it's your body. It's you and me, right? We're not separate, but sometimes it's good to step a little bit outside and observe me. I'm here for you. I'm here serving you. Walking you around, carrying the burdens with you, feeling the inhale and exhale, everyone, the heartbeat, digesting the food. When you think it, I do it. When you're moved, I reach that arm out. So hey, right now, as you notice the aches and pains in me, it's just me talking to you. It's just me reminding you, hey, don't forget about me. All these aches and pains are just the way I can talk normally. Normally we don't have this conversation. So you know how it feels, in your back right now? I'm just bringing your attention there, because I need a little bit extra energy there, and your attention, I know, can harness that energy and direct it my way. And if you do that, I can help you be stronger and lift you up. I can help you do more and be more, because we're a team, because we're actually one. So as we begin to hear the body in this way, listen to what the body is saying, and really honor that voice, that inner voice, as being the ultimate truth and authority, then we become empowered. The power is in us to choose and direct our lives in ways that maybe we haven't before. Out of fear, out of frustration, out of doubt, guilt, shame, whatever emotions that we have conjured to make walls between us and this body of ours. Let's just break those down right now. Let's clear those old patterns of emotion, and let's get clear. You know, health is one of the most important, if not serious, subjects for this lifetime, for our embodiment as humans. You know, and a lot of us are very invested in paying attention to the health of not only ourselves, but the health of others. Many of us go into occupations where healthcare is our main concern. Many of us spend, decades even schooling ourselves in the way of understanding health and those different treatments and medicines or things that would assist other humans in having healthy bodies. This is probably one of the top 3 categories of interest on the internet and in books on the shelves today, alongside of relationship and money. Health is paramount, and if relationship and money all fell away, still health is maybe our most important asset in this body, because if we lose our health, those other things don't really matter as much or can't play as big of a role. As our health declines, yes, relationships are there, but they don't tend to play the same sort of dynamics. They don't hold the same amount of joy if we are focused in on the self and the need to heal. So empowerment in health is extremely important. It's huge. And anyone who's lost their health or who are in the process of struggling with ill health knows that there's hardly anything else you can think about when your health is holding your attention, when it's hanging in the crux, when it's, jeopardized in some way. So being able to tune in to the body's innate ability to heal, being able to hear the voice within that directs you, that directs me, as to what is the best path to take to bring health back into harmony. These voices aren't always easy to hear. And I think part of the problem is that we've been educated, that we've been trained in the way of giving our powers away. We've been trained to listen to other people's voices, to authority figures, to doctors, to teachers, to those who study, to tell us what is right to do with our bodies. And sometimes those things are valid. I'm not saying not to totally listen to those voices, but I think that we've turned it over a little bit to the extreme. We've turned it over in lots of cases completely, so that we've completely lost touch with our trust of self, our ability to trust and know. Many of us will run to the doctor at the slightest sign of a sniffle. If not in ourselves, then in our children. We've got some weird little thing on our body and we can't figure it out immediately, and we get scared and we think that it could be something bigger than it is, and we run off and ask somebody for their diagnosis. And what we're forgetting, and maybe what some of us don't even realize, and as quantum physics and quantum mechanics is beginning to teach us, that the power of the mind is humongous in the manifestation of reality. So, there are many stories about someone who has gone to the doctor and received a false diagnosis. False meaning it wasn't accurate. Someone found out later it was the wrong one. And maybe it was even given from the wrong file. But the point is when the words are spoken and the person who's hearing them receives this message as truth, there's very little filtering for many people. It goes right into the subconscious mind, right into the program, and is accepted as truth. And when an idea is accepted as truth in the body, it rules, and it rules the systems. It will change the chemistry of the body to align with the truth that has come in. So someone who's told that they are dying, when in fact their body is fine, will start to produce the chemicals and the byproducts in the body that produce the state of dying. And people have actually died from the suggestion, hey, you have cancer, you only have this many months to live. And after they've passed away, it's been realized that, oops, that was somebody else's file. It wasn't even theirs. They were fine. So why would somebody's body shut down if nothing was wrong with it on the inside? Because we are more than these bodies. These bodies, the body is the final manifestation. It's the densest manifestation of the vibrations of the universe, of the frequencies, of this light which we are, this energy which is vibrating and condensing and bringing itself into this shape. I mean, if you look at you and me under a microscope, it doesn't appear that we exist at all. There's all this space and there's just energy and light. But somehow we are these manifestations. Somebody like Thomas Campbell would say we are just projections. We are like virtual reality beings projected on a screen of this illusory reality. And some spiritual traditions would agree with that. This is the Maya, this is the illusion, this is the playground, the Leela for the divine to play in, and we are like the characters. But we get very caught up in this is so real. We get very tied around what we can grab onto with our hands, and because it feels solid, because our bodies can bleed, because we can hit ourselves into a bookcase and cut open our hand, or we can, have this pain in our body that won't go away, and we might take certain actions in the physical. We might put a bandage on, we might go to the doctor, we might get it sewn up, we might take a certain medicine, and we might see a certain effect or outcome that seems to correlate. It seems to be that we have fixed or cured this thing by taking these certain measures. And so we believe it again, and we see people go through the process of getting unhealthy and going through a process of aging or getting sick and dying, and we follow with reason, with our logical mind, in this certain sequence of events that this is what happens. A goes to B, goes to C, and this is how it goes, and this is how it works. And we've all agreed as a culture and as a people and as a world generally that this is the way it goes. Even though you can travel to other parts of the world where beliefs are different, people don't believe in aging and death in the same way, and their reality actually is different. They have different outcomes. One might not age and get ill in the same way that we do in this culture because of our beliefs. So, it's a tricky subject. It's a tricky subject to talk about, but coming back to the simple form of it, really expanded the vision on it there, but coming back to the simplified version of empowerment, what it comes down to is that we have really trusted in outside sources. And we've trusted in this perpetual paradigm of beliefs that, if we don't do a certain thing, then we get a certain outcome. Or if we do a certain thing, we get a certain outcome. But what are those things that we're believing? And are they true? You see, because you can now look at so many examples. You can find so many studies. There's so many different researchers and scientists doing different studies and projects. But, if you look carefully, many of those studies are funded by the very same, say, drug company that wants to show their drug is good for you. Or, some may say milk from a cow creates mucus in the body, gives a certain response of extra phlegm. But, you could search the internet and never find confirmation of that from any study, but they're all funded by the dairy industry. But if you yourself drink a glass of milk, you could find phlegm in the back of your throat, and you don't really need a study to tell you that. And so that's what this conversation today, this is the topic that we're coming down to, is, learn for yourself. Try it yourself. Trust yourself when it comes to health. And sometimes we are caught in the balance. We are caught in this moment where something seems to be going wrong, and we do need someone else to look at us. We need someone to tell us what they see and give us their opinion. And I'm not saying to discount that at all. Absolutely not. Doctors in the medical industry and all of these tests and things are there for a purpose. Sure. And sometimes with good purpose. And sometimes they are essential. And, oftentimes we need the emergency treatment that can help with something. But it is not always the case. And oftentimes the best thing that a doctor or a medical person can do for us is to look and tell us what they see, as long as we keep an open mind about what we hear, as long as we listen to them knowing that this is their perspective. This, according to the tools and the education that they have, this is what they're seeing. And we can then take that information and process it with what we are feeling inside, what we believe, what we would like to be the outcome, what we are processing within our own field, and take into account that our beliefs are going to play a very strong role in what comes next. So, this is a tricky subject, and I may get some flack for this, but I'm willing to, and I think that it's so important for people to start becoming more empowered in their own health care. We have this whole conversation of healthcare being essential, and people have to now buy their own healthcare in this country. But, if everybody really took care of themselves and learned how to care for themselves, and that includes eating in a certain way that supports health, and being aware of the plants and the oils and the things that are around us in nature, that are things that we can buy, that things that we can learn how to use, that are simple, that are non-invasive. If we can do these things as preventative measures, as supportive to our health and our body, if we can do the exercise and the yoga, if we can calm the mind and relieve the body of stresses, if we can, clear trapped emotions from our childhood and, pass down to us from our parents, if we can, keep our environment friendly and supportive to our mental state. These are all things that can support health and wellness. And the medical industry looks at a very small segment of reality and is waiting for the problem to manifest, and then goes in to try to trigger or target that particular problem and remove it. Well, in emergency situations, that might be very good. If you've fallen down and broken your bone and it's poking out of your leg, there's not a lot of preventative measures that are going to help you. You can't be doing any yoga. Meditation is not really going to work. You can't, there might be some good herbs, but generally the best thing to do in that situation is go get the bone set and get it, set up so that it can heal. And that's an acute situation. It needs to be dealt with right then. We need the professionals that know how to do that to go in and get the job done. And I think that's the best use for modern medicine that there is in these emergency situations. But let's take another situation, something that cultivates over time. All these situations that are autoimmune disorders, for example. Autoimmune, by its very definition, is saying the immune system is attacking your body. It's attacking itself. It's inflamed. Something is wrong. Now, most of us weren't born with autoimmune deficiencies. Some of us, yes, that was passed along, and that's a completely different conversation that I'm not going to get into right now. But if this is something that has generated itself in your lifetime and you've watched the progression that I didn't have an autoimmune and now I do, okay, then it's time to look back. It's time to go in and first of all assess the state of the body-mind, the emotions, the events that have taken place in your life that maybe have been inflammatory, that maybe have been, irritating to your system, that would cause you to somehow feel like you deserve to be attacked by your own body. Okay, like an allergy, for example. Something is irritating the body. It doesn't like it. It's telling you no. It's swelling up. It's against some kind of input. And we might say it's a, pollen. We might say it's a mold or a fur or something. But I also believe that there's something beyond that. There's some kind of emotion around the situation that your body is saying, nah, no. Please let me create this inflamed, shield for a moment so that you will pay attention to me and look inside and figure this thing out. And if you don't, I'm just going to keep flaring up. So, we have these medicines where they're antihistamines or whatever, and that's fine in the short term. It might be helpful so you can, exist without being too irritated. But if we just, medicate, if we just suppress symptoms, if we just, don't like something and try to stop it without trying to look at why it's there, without trying to listen. If our child is screaming on the floor and we just put a bandage over their mouth, or we put them in the other room and they keep screaming and we just put earplugs in, are we really solving the problem? Well, maybe for temporarily, maybe you have a kid that just does this all the time and you don't know what else to do besides walk away. But generally there is a problem. Maybe they got hurt. Maybe there's a sore. Maybe something is poking them. Maybe there's something they're genuinely upset about, that needs to be addressed. And our physical body, it does the same thing. It cries out. Sometimes it kicks and screams. It flares up. It has a rash. It rumbles in the stomach. It creates effects to ask us to listen, to ask us to look inside at what is going on, what has caused this thing. And if we don't take the time to listen and to really listen, to really look, then, and we're just medicating, we're just covering it up, then it's going to have to find a bigger voice, a huger way of getting our attention. And so the problem multiplies, it gets bigger, it expresses itself in a different place. If we suppress the skin rash, and we cover it up with creams and ointments and, cortisone shots or whatever, it might have to come out a different way. Maybe it has to come out in the intestines. Maybe it has to come out in an organ now, like the disempowerment that has been instilled on people about their health, I believe is causing the massive dis-ease, illness, health issues that we have on this planet, especially in the United States, that we are not really looking behind the problem. And one of the biggest things, of course, on the physical level is our food, what we're eating. But I think even bigger than that, and yes, I definitely feel like eating healthy food, largely, fresh fruits and vegetables, organic if possible, so that it's free of chemical residues and everything like that. I feel like this should be the basis, plenty of fresh water, free of chemicals and free of all that stuff. Yes, I mean, this I feel like is essential. You wouldn't want to dump garbage into your car and think that your car is going to run okay, and if it doesn't, start slapping on, stickers to cover up the leaks and stuff. Like, I mean, that's just ridiculous, but we do that to our body. We put junk in it, and then it starts leaking and having problems, and we can't figure out why, But I think there's even a bigger issue, and it's behind, we can't compare it to an automobile when it gets to this level, because it's really about the mind. It's really about the emotions. It's really about an unseen force, the nature, the, like belief systems that we have, the emotions we are carrying around, unprocessed, blocking us on an energetic level. An energy, it is what we are. I mean, we already said this, we already talked about this, that we're energetic beings. If you looked at us behind a camera that can record this, the auric fields of the body, like the Kirlian photography that shows the light and the energy of the body or of a plant, like when the energy is disrupted, when the field is disrupted, just like, cutting an electrical cord, there is a disruption in the flow, in the vibrancy, the life force, the ability for the physical to actually work. So even though these forces are unseen, they are essential. I mean, when someone dies, their body's still there in front of you. I mean, the physical body seems to not have died. It seems to be very present right there. But the thing that is not physical, the thing that is animating the body, it leaves. It exits the form. So to think that this unseen force doesn't have anything to do with the health of the body is just absurd. So to begin to address and look at the unseen, and in a very real way, the emotions are the first easiest thing, I think, to look at. Yes, the mind, the thoughts, but the emotions manifest most sometimes violently and sometimes beautifully, magically, like tears. You see the tears. Tears are an effect of an emotion. They are a physical manifestation. Anger, you see a physical manifestation by the changing of the shape of the face. You see maybe arms swinging. Love, you see the effect. You see someone have a smile. You see their arms open. You might feel an embrace. I mean, we feel and see the effects of emotions. Even first before thoughts. I mean, thoughts, we could keep a lot of thoughts to ourselves and have a million things going around in our mind that no one ever knows about, at least not at this level of reality. I do believe there's a time when those things become transparent to the sensitive, but emotions are much easier to see. We see the effects of them, much like we would see the effect of the wind in the trees. The wind is blowing. We don't see the wind, but we see its effect. We see the tree move, the leaves move, the flag shake, our hair is blown. The emotions are the same way. And, even if they have not been expressed and we are holding them in, they still contain the same amount of energy and power that they would if we express them. And so if we don't express them and we're holding them, they're actually very large bundles of energy that are then affecting negatively our body system. So to be able to identify what these emotions are that are trapped, and sometimes trapped our whole lives. Sometimes they were trapped at birth. Sometimes they were trapped in our parents or their parents and passed along in the DNA. Like there are books that are written about this, that we can pass emotional traits down through the DNA, that an emotion actually creates a chemical response in the body, a hormonal response. So when we have an emotion, you feel it. Like sometimes there's adrenaline rush, sometimes there's the endorphins, there's the different chemistries are associated with our emotions. And so if we're not fully expressing them, they are still affecting our body at a cellular level. And when the cells duplicate, when they are creating a new human, that hormonal sequence, that those chemicals, they are passed along and they are given to the new human, who then grows with that energetic pattern, with those emotions. And so these things we've got to start looking at and addressing, the emotions that are affecting the health, and start to become empowered, knowing that we can release these things. We can stop creating new problems, and the first thing that we can do right now is, when a new emotion comes up, is to feel it, to validate it, but also to, instead of looking at things with an angry attitude or with a sadness or, so much. Sometimes it's appropriate. If something makes you sad, you should cry or you should feel it. But also to start to cultivate new attitudes of, curiosity. This is curious. I wonder why this is happening. Amusement, like life can be a lot lighter, a lot more humorous and fun if we allow it to be. And, like when an emotion comes through us, anger or great joy, overwhelm, to really allow yourself to feel it. And if that means taking yourself out of the environment that you're in, to scream, to punch a pillow, to throw dirt clods, so be it. On this subject of emotions, as some of you know, that I've been studying to become a practitioner of the emotion code. And this is a beautiful system of releasing trapped emotions developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson. He's got the healerslibrary.com. You can check it out. But it basically helps you identify where you have trapped emotions, from when they are trapped, and which emotions are trapped. In over 25 years of his experience using this in, clinical research and personal trials with people, he's found over 90% of people's physical issues are caused by a trapped emotion or multitudes of trapped emotions. And so by identifying these and releasing them using simple kinesiology and a magnet, I've already talked about us being magnetic beings, we can release these old emotions. And I think this is a huge, huge key of personal empowerment and health, because, if we can start to release the layers of emotions and blocks that are causing physical ailments, we can start to identify and break them down. What if the physical problem you're having right now is from a trapped emotion? What if that trapped emotion is one of the main causes to your arm hurting, your back hurting, your headaches, your sinus issues, whatever it is? Wouldn't you feel great to be able to remove that, to be empowered to let that go, and then deal with the next level of you? If we think that everything is just physical, if we just continue to address things on the physical level, I think we are missing the point. We're going to have to just keep cutting things out until we're just here no more. But when we can start to address the deeper aspects of self and start to really listen, and as I've been working with this emotion code and I'm looking at all these emotions that are possibly trapped, this list of 75 main negative emotions: resentment, anger, fear, frustration, pride, shame, guilt, worthlessness, unworthiness, all these different things. I'm thinking, I can feel where even just for a moment in me, I felt one of those things, maybe all of those things at one time or another. And as I locate and release them, like, these aren't healthy for me to be carrying around. I shouldn't have an old resentment from age 16 that I'm still carrying, and I didn't even know I was carrying it. But as I start to look at that, I think, maybe I didn't fully let that go. I felt it in the moment really strong. But as we can start to identify, and then now we can begin to become empowered now, in our lives now, when someone brings up an emotion in me now that feels like resentment, I'm going to go, you know what? I'm not really big on carrying around resentment anymore. I think even though that I have a tendency to want to resent this person or this situation, I am going to choose not to. I'm going to choose love. I'm going to choose to recognize my tendency to resent, and I'm just going to forgive it. I'm going to forgive and let it go. I'm going to feel it, and I'm going to let it go. I'm going to send love there. I'm going to appreciate and, feel it if I need to, but feel it all the way and then release it. And this is how we can begin to become empowered in our emotions, become empowered in our health. There's things we can do on every level, starting with the physical, with the foods that we eat. It's okay to have some junky food from time to time, but if our diet is staple, food that would clog up a drain pipe, think about it. If you're pouring like loads of cheese and milk and white bread down your drain, it's going to get stuck. Okay, if you're shoving a bunch of hamburgers with white bread, pizza, preservative-filled snacks and sugar. And just think about it. Just imagine moving stuff through a motor, moving stuff, and then imagine you're an intelligent motor, okay? Yeah, you're a little bit more advanced, but you still can get clogged, We still can get clogged. So just starting to think about the live, fresh foods that have their own enzymes, have their own ability to break themselves down too, and utilizing those things, fresh water. And then starting to choose healthy emotions, starting to choose healthy mental states. Our mental states attract what we think about. Like if we have a really negative mental state, we're like a magnet for more negativity. As much as we are wanting to create a positive life, a positive experience, if our thoughts are always pumping out, I'm not making enough money, cynicism and like things aren't going my way and how is this ever going to work, like we are creating more of the same. And this actually goes right into the whole emotional paradigm, and that's that our heart is emitting a magnetic field. It's a tube torus. You guys have seen the picture of it, I'm sure. That's a field that's going out and coming back in, going out, coming back in, and it's pulling with it the emotions, the frequencies in our field. It's pumping them out into the environment. It's grabbing things that are like that and bringing them back into your reality. So emotions, yes, negative emotions, but also negative thoughts. Any of your thoughts are either likewise. They're going out into the field and they're pulling back things in that are like them. So if you've known this and you haven't, and you've tried to have positive thoughts and you've tried to have positive emotions and you just still seem to be getting the same stuff back, well, you probably have some stuck stuff in your field that when you're sending this good vibration out, it's making its way through the muck of the old and it's bringing back the old again. So clearing that stuff out is very empowering to clear the field and bring back the things you want. But I'm going to cycle back around now to what we started with, and that is to begin to own that we are responsible for our health, that I am responsible for my health. And if something is going off in my body, yes, people can give me their opinions and their diagnoses and their tests, and they can run all these things on me, but the only way it's ever going to change, really, is if deep in me, if I decide, if I align, if I create a new experience for me. And that's empowering. At first that's scary because the responsibility is all on us. Like, if I'm not doing well, it's all on me. Well, yeah, and if I'm not doing well, it's all on me. Like, I can change my experience now. I can alter that reality by altering me. I can put different things in myself. I can have a different thought. I can create a different experience for myself, and my reality will change. Sometimes it's not instant. It might take some time, but keep it up. Like, the world is changing all the time. There's new things coming out all the time that debunk the old. There's always a new reality emerging, for whatever it is. It was good for you once, but now it's bad. It was soy was great for you, now soy's bad. Oh, agave was good for you, now it's bad. There's always going to be something that was good, and then they find out it's bad. But if you come back to the source, come back to you, to your inner knowing, then you're never going to have to follow the flux and the waves of the changes of the environment out there. You're going to be able to come back to a peace inside that always knows the truth for you. And if you have to go through a rough time and an experience of cleansing and of realignment, okay, but you get to come back to the anchor that is anchored right through your heart to the source of your beingness. And that is what this is all about, empowerment. Empowerment to know that the truth emanates from within, that it is not an external source, it is an internal source. And to truly be healthy, we've got to anchor ourselves to that inner knowing. And no one else can do that for us. We've got to do that for ourselves. So in this moment, coming back again to that place of identifying the body, feeling the body. Maybe send some beautiful words to the self. Body, I hear you. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. You carry me around. I get up with you every morning, go to sleep with you every night. You're worth it. Worth loving and paying attention to and listening to. Just take a moment to feel and thank your body. Maybe that's all it's wanted. I want to thank Michael Mandrell for this beautiful ancient art of soul travel piece that I'm using today. Please visit his site, Michael Mandrell, MANDRELL.com, to find this and other incredible music. And to all of you, I wish you and bless you with an empowered day in your body, in your health, in your life. This is Stasia Bliss. BlissInTheHouse.com is my site. Thank you so much for sharing a part of your day. Peace and blessings.